just starting the third quarter. About 11 minutes left to go in Utah. The Jazz are ahead of the Oklahoma City Thunder 44-38. Games that have gone final. The 76ers came to Toronto and played the Raptors at the ACC. Toronto taking the win with a 128-94 score. Miami Heat welcomed the Indiana Pacers down to South Beach, and it was 112-108 in favor of the Heat. Houston Rockets and the Dallas Mavericks in a battle of Texas. Houston won at home today, 107-91. The Orlando Magic came into the defending Eastern Conference champion Cleveland Cavaliers and took a 114-93 victory there. And San Antonio played in Chicago today, and the Spurs took an 87-77 final there. Just trying to quickly go through here and update some scores. The Eskimos have jumped ahead of the Lions 3-0. Edmonton is still playing to try and catch Winnipeg for second place in the Eastern Conference. And of course, with last night's loss by the Stampeders, the BC Lions were eliminated from the playoffs thanks to the Saskatchewan Roughrider win. Still no score in Calgary. There have been a couple really good chances that I can tell you about, but a couple power plays already for Calgary that they've not been able to capitalize on. And so allow me to get organized here. Let's go in and we'll start talking about news from the NHL today. There was a suspension, a fairly significant injury that we need to talk about, as well as a trade. My phone is being exceptionally slow as I try to hop over to the NHL website. Here we go. Here are some of the headlines currently right now on NHL.com. Stamkos boosts Lightning past Penguins. Stamkos matches his NHL career high with 4 points, and Kucherov scores 2 goals. Ryan O'Reilly and the Sabres rally past Bruins in overtime. The forward scores winner after Buffalo trailed by 3. Like we mentioned earlier, the Senators hold off the Maple Leafs with late goals. Brassard and Stone each score second in third period. Wow, this is a really bad headline. Anyway, they both scored in the third period to give Ottawa their first home win on the season. Lee scores twice. The Islanders defeat the Sharks. Tavares has a goal, 2 assists in the win. Couture gets hat trick for San Jose. The Rangers end a 5-game losing streak as they defeat the Predators this afternoon. Hayes and Vichy each had a goal and an assist for the Rangers' second win of the season. Also this afternoon, Wayne Simmons helps Flyers defeat the Oilers. Forward scores 4th game-winning goal of the season with 2:15 remaining. The trade we were talking about, Riley Sheehan traded to the Penguins by the Red Wings. Wilson and a third-round pick sent to Detroit. Pittsburgh will also receive a fifth-round draft pick. The gist of this deal is Pittsburgh is trying to improve their center ice position, their center ice strength. Of course, during the offseason, they lost Matt Cullen and Nick Bonino as free agents. Cullen going to Minnesota and Bonino to Nashville. In other news, the losing streak has Price and the Montreal Canadiens shaking their head. Frustration mounts after 7 consecutive defeats, extends worst start since 1941-42. Now, for a franchise with this much history, this current start to this season is legendary and, as I just mentioned, historic. It has the people in Montreal shaking their head, and of course, with the media scrutiny and attention of the people in Montreal for their Canadians, there is a great deal of pressure right now on head coach Claude Giroux, as well as the man, the architect that put this team together, Marc Bergevin. It is highly unlikely that a change will be made at the general manager's position. However, Chris Johnston on Sportsnet and Hockey Night in Canada tonight reported that he has a contract that goes into 21-22, but depending on how things continue to go for the Canadiens this season, if it continues to go like this, it may eventually have to see a change come. A couple other significant injuries, or suspensions, actually. I was going to mention that earlier. Kevin Bieksa was suspended 1 game for his hit from behind last night. Welcome back. I am sorry, I just had to go look up some information. I was wrong. It was not Kevin Bieksa. You see a Vancouver Canuck defenseman getting into trouble, and you automatically think it's him, but of course he's now down in Anaheim. The Canadian press reported earlier this afternoon that Vancouver Canucks defenseman Erik Gudbranson has been suspended for 1 game without pay for his hit on Boston Bruin forward Frank Vatrino. Gudbranson will forfeit $18,817.20 and will miss Vancouver's game Friday at Buffalo. Injuries everywhere you look. Reports out of Florida have them placing their starting goaltender Roberto Luongo. Luongo exited Friday's game with an apparent right hand injury. He's expected to miss at least 1 week. James Reimer is expected to fill in as the Panthers' starting goaltender. Tonight in Ottawa, Senators forward Bobby Ryan will be sidelined approximately a month with a fractured right index finger. He was injured while blocking a shot tonight when the Senators played the Toronto Maple Leafs. I am looking, here it is. Last night, Anaheim Ducks defenseman Cam Fowler left Friday's game against the Montreal Canadiens with a lower body injury. Fowler was hurt when he fell awkwardly into the boards and needed assistance to get back to the bench. He was not putting any weight on his right leg. The Ducks have been hit extremely hard by injuries so far at the start of this season. Currently out of their lineup, Ryan Miller, upper body, Hampus Lindholm, shoulder, Sammy Vatanen, shoulder. Ryan Kessler has, of course, been out after hip surgery. Ryan Getzlaf, lower body, and Patrick Eaves has a lower body injury for the Anaheim Mighty Ducks. Detroit also made a secondary today wherein they sent Ryan Spruill to the New York Rangers for Matt Pumpel. I destroyed that. I absolutely know I destroyed that. I don't even think I'm going to attempt to give any more information about that trade. Basically, a couple of minor players for both teams being switched there. Kind of going through here. Oh, yes. The last RFA in the NHL signed this afternoon. The Detroit Red Wings have reached a one-year, $1.387 million deal with their restricted free agent, Andres Anastasiou. I usually say his name better than that. I actually kind of like his name. It's like happy to see you. But the two sides have, of course, been in a standoff since Anastasiou and his entry-level contract expired on July 1st. Part of both trades that Detroit made today with Riley Sheehan and Ryan Spruill was to get salary cap space in order to sign Athanasiou. In the CFL, news out of the CFL, Argos move into first place with their wild win over the Bombers. Ricky Ray, two very significant milestones today. Ray threw for 423 yards, as well as a touchdown, to become just the fourth person in Canadian Football League history to surpass the 60,000 career passing yard mark. Toronto was extremely dominant today, getting 572 yards of total offense. James Wilder Jr. was back after having a week off due to a minor injury, and rushed for over 100 yards. Winnipeg took over at its 22-yard line with a minute 49 remaining, and the Bombers drove down to the Toronto 32, setting up Justin Medlock for a game-winning 40-yard attempt.